Hey everybody, this is Tyler Dockery and welcome to week 3 of GRD280 Portfolio. Just as a reminder, you want to try to do all of your work on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday during the week so that you have plenty of time to go and correct mistakes or make changes based on feedback. Today I want to talk with you about 4 main items, and I'm going to follow this up with a second video on portfolios just so everybody's up to speed. Item number 1, this applies to everything that you're going to be working through in this course, which is put an emphasis on professionality. There are 3 big things that you need to think about. Number 1, be on time. When you're not on time, it shows a real lack of professionality. In the military, there's this term that is, if you're not early, you're late. Someone is putting their work aside to meet with you or to have your work in. I, for instance, am setting aside time to grade your work. So if it's due at midnight, don't turn it in at 12:05 or 1 o'clock in the morning if you can avoid it. It's professional. If there's an interview and you got to meet face-to-face with me, if there's a problem and things go over, it's better that you're sitting outside waiting for your turn rather than the meeting starts and you are not ready. So just kind of be aware of that. Number 2, follow your directions. If I tell you that you need to bring a pencil with you, if you don't bring a pencil, that's a problem. If you bring a pen is not a pencil. So just kind of do your best. Make sure that you're following your directions at all times. This is an online course, which means I'm going to tell you what to do, and then you are going to do it. I'm going to give you some feedback on how to do a great job, and we're going to work together so that you have as bright a future as you want. So just make sure that you're following your directions at all times. If you have questions about the directions, email me. If you're not getting your emails fast enough, call me. If you have had numerous problems getting emails, just go ahead and call me. I have a phone. It's not always on me, but I do have answering machine message in there, and you can leave me a voicemail. All right, and finally, first impressions are important. So just make sure that the first impression that you are trying to get is the first impression that you are leaving behind. When you meet someone for the first time, smile. We're a culture that is community-based. When you smile, I'll smile. If you are unprepared, then I will feel like you are unprepared. But if you smile and shake my hand, that warmth will transfer to me. I'll want to smile and feel happy and welcoming because you want to be welcomed. It's a good thing. You only get one first impression, so make sure that you're taking it to heart. Item number 2, I want to talk with you about the discussion boards. This is an online class. There's only going to be one opportunity for you to interact with people unless you're sitting outside in the hallway and trying to catch them as they come by, and that's through the discussion boards. Most important thing about the discussion board, wait for it, do your work on time, and follow your directions. There are certain directions set down so that you know what you have to do and how you have to do it. If you need to give us links to your work, make sure you give us links to your work. Secondary is that, this stuff is all covered in getting started in course resources sessions, but your discussion board posts should always be a minimum of 50+ words. I don't want to hear, that's nice, thanks a lot. I want an actual discussion. I want you to read their work and give them some feedback, tell them how they might improve or move on. A pat on the back is nice, but it doesn't teach anybody anything. So a discussion means you give something to the conversation and then it can be taken back by the person who started that conversation. So think about that. Another part of this is make sure that you have all of your responses together. Some of you have decided that you're going to do your part in the discussion and then you're going to ignore everybody else. A lot of people pulled away from the first discussion post with a D or an F because they chose not to participate. They just wanted to do their part and move away. I can tell you from my point of view, when I look into the discussion board for the first time and I see that you are a person who likes to get a D or an F, it makes it very easy for me to be ready to look at your projects for D or F level work. It's something that happens unconsciously, so make sure that you are always giving your best efforts. Make sure you're spell checking your work so that it looks professional. You don't have glaring errors, you don't have grammatical errors. You know, I'm just not going to put up with that. If you want to work in a way that's not professional, I highly suggest that you drop this class. Maybe it's time that you set up for a face-to-face class where if you can speak to Miss Evans in an unprofessional manner, she'll just boot you right out of the class. So just make sure you've got all your stuff together. Also remember that research is big. People are going to learn from you what they didn't cover, and you're going to learn from them what they didn't cover. So make sure that under all circumstances, you have all of your ground covered. You're looking at what other people are saying, you're following their links and learning what they know. All right, third thing we're going to talk about is contracts. Several of you went ahead and filled out your contracts and gave them to me. I have responded to every single contract which has been turned in. Don't worry if you didn't get an 8 the first time around. If you didn't get an 8, I will have gone through your entire contract and told you project by project which ones are approved and which ones are denied. If they're denied, I've given you some specific feedback on how you can fix it. Many times it will be because you gave a very vague object. Here's a logo, and that's all you said. A logo is not a campaign. It is a piece of one of the 3 items in your campaign. If you didn't give that, denied. If you only talked about 2 of the 3 things that you wanted to do, denied. If it is something that we talked about in our face-to-face and you gave me some very specific information about what your plan was, you may have gotten an approval. But if that material was not clear and you didn't put it in your contract, look for that. So don't look for, 7 out of 8 for a passing grade. You have to get an 8 to move on. And if you can't get 8 approved objects by week 5, 2 weeks away, it's probably time to drop this course and come back an entire year from now when you're ready. So make sure you're putting all of your time and effort into this. Make it very, very clear. I've given everybody a Google Sheet. You can update your Google Sheet and send me a link. I can make comments directly in there for you. Everything will be straightforward. So do whichever way you prefer to make this work out for you. Listen to your feedback. I will be open to looking at your contracts on an ongoing basis. So if you want to adjust your contract, submit it to the place or resubmit it, send me a link that just says, hey, I have updated my contract, I'd like to get some feedback. I'm already ready for that. And finally, let's talk about your work in this class as it goes on. We're in week 3. So right now, if you haven't already, you need to pull down pieces 1 and piece 2 for your portfolio. They don't have to be the first in the book, but the first 2 projects that you are going to turn in. And over this week and next week, you need to be getting them ready to turn in to me. How are you going to present these? They're going to be in your portfolio in a 2-page spread. Now is the time to start thinking how you're going to present that work. Is it going to have the name of the project client at the top, and then a short paragraph, 2 to 3 sentences about who the client is and what their audience is, what the problem you were trying to solve was, and why you've chosen the solutions that you have? Are you going to have no instructions at all and just a name? Is it going to be a blank page? Don't do that. Is it going to be a blank page? Make sure that you have pulled down all the mock-ups that you want to use. And while you're looking for one mock-up, you might as well be thinking about the other pages, because mock-up searching can be very difficult. Some of you will try to use Adobe, it starts with an E, no, D, Adobe Dimension. Some of you will try to use the 3D services from there. Adobe Dimension renders very poorly. So just be aware that you could have some work that you spend time on in 3 dimensions that doesn't work right, especially if you're trying to do color. Many people tried to make their beer labels and the bottle caps all turned out horrible. So just kind of take into heart, look at what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Is it going to be in high resolution when it goes to print? Be thinking about that. Anytime you get feedback on any project, whether it's something that you turned in as part of the contract, whether it's something that you turned in a previous class, whether it's something that's in a class now, or whether it's project 1 or 2 that you're turning in, whenever you get any feedback, copy that out and keep it. Chances are very likely that you're going to turn in a project for me, might be 5 and 6, who knows, where I'll tell you, that you need this much feedback to be corrected before this is ready for your portfolio. If you don't fix that, the person who grades your portfolio is just going to eat you up for lunch. So make sure that you are looking through that, copying down all the material out of Blackboard, copying down your previous feedback, talking to other teachers. But then, like, one other thing that you may want to think about here is that I am not the end-all, be-all. If you do what I say in your portfolio, I will still not be grading your portfolio. So if you look at what I'm saying to you and you're thinking to yourself, that's a load of hooey, in the end, the portfolio is going to be all about you. All right, I'm going to follow this up with a video on portfolios. Thank you very much. I hope you're having a great week. Reach out to me if you have questions, and as always, design your future.